This is i3TV. I'm Valery Prushinsky, and today we will talk about robotic surgery. How inventors taught robots to carry out surgical operations. We will discover it from fresh patent applications of intuitive surgical ink. Nowadays, you can see that robotic hands are helping to humans in many industries, from car manufacturing to coffee making. But is it possible to replace hands of the surgeons by robotic hands? Current generation of surgical tools is adapted for use by hands of the surgeon. In former times, surgical operations were mostly open, but from the end of 80s, surgeons developed laparoscopic operations carried out through the small keyhole incisions. That's why surgical instruments are changing and become thin and long, so they can enter into the body for these operations. In order to carry out surgical operations by robot, they crossed manual surgical instruments with robot hands. So now these instruments can have very fine movements and can be utilized for robotic surgeries. Instead of just two hands, as in humans, surgical robot can have many hands. For example, the Vinci robotic surgical system usually has 4 hands. And special surgical tools needed for particular operations are installed on the robotic hands. But how robot knows what to do during surgery? Of course, human surgeons are controlling the movement of the robotic hands. Doctors are placing the patient on the surgical table, then they make keyhole incisions, inserting long surgical tools on the robotic hands into these incisions, and then they start main action, robotic operation. Main surgeon controls operation from the special control panel. He or she is watching the images transmitted from the video camera of one of the robotic hands, and the surgeon controls each instrument by hands, and except of manual control, the control panel has special pedals. Complex robotic operations are carried out by group of doctors. Main surgeon works behind the control panel of the Da Vinci robotic system. 2 assistants near the operation table observe the work of the robotic hands and replace the instruments handed over to them by nurse. Also, anesthesiologist remains near the patient whole time of the operation, controlling his or her sleep. Johannes Sebastian Bach was organ virtuoso who was able to play legendary solo by pedals of the organ. It looks like the pedals of Da Vinci control panel are not adapted for solo yet, because most important operations are carried out by hands. That's why manual control organs looks almost like modern gaming consoles. They can even filter trembling of the human hands. That's why the movement of the instruments in robotic hands is very precise. And this is very important for removal of ill or unhealthy tissues without damaging of healthy tissues and body organs. I think that here we can talk about trend of displacement of human from the system. And as you can see in this example of transition toward robotically assisted surgical operations, usually it is extremely difficult or almost impossible to have transition from operations carried out by human surgeon to operations carried out by robot surgeon without replacing main principle of operation. That's why I hope you noticed how surgical tools for manual operations are hybridized with new robotic approach. And there is an intermediate step where we can see robotic surgical systems, and on this particular stage the human is usually displaced from manual operations, but he or she is attracted into supervision and control. And I think that we will continue seeing human operators taking most important decisions during robotic operations. Thank you for learning trees with iTrees TV, and if you like our videos, like and subscribe. See you next time.